Hello and welcome to Paisa Live. It's me with you, Tanisha. And today we have our guest. His name is Nikkhil K. Masurkar, the CEO of Entod Pharmaceutical. Thank you so much for joining us on our channel and giving us a time on this chaotic and very busy day, which is Union Budget Day. Our Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman just announced, like a bit time before, she announced the Union Budget 2025-26, and every sector have their own expectations from budget. As we know, every sector was uh, thinking for their own things. Like they have so many plans. Maybe some were fulfilled and some were not. Same goes to health sector. What was your call on that? What you say? What's your opinion on Union Budget health sector?
Firstly, thanks for having me here. So in terms of the budget announcements with regards to healthcare, there was some positive announcements like the exemption of basic customs duty for certain life-saving cancer drugs,
Yes.
certain concessional custom duty of about 5% for six life-saving drugs. Daycare centers for cancer in district hospitals was very
Yeah,
uh,
200,
encouraging.
200 day care centers, I guess.
Yes, 200
Yeah.
daycare centers. And also, obviously, the additional medical seats of 10,000, with the possibility of adding almost 75,000 seats in the next 5 years. So those were the positives. I was quite disappointed with the pharma aspect of the budget. There were not that many the announcements with regards to pharma because, for pharma, we need a policy which could strengthen the ecosystem of research and innovation in India, so that we can drive innovation in the industry, especially from the MSMEs. We can be more self-reliant in terms of research, API, manufacturing, so that we transform into a volume-driven industry to a value-driven system. However, we couldn't see that much positive news in terms of the R&D investment. So the Honorable Minister did make a mention of allocating 20,000 crores into the private sector to boost R&D and innovation. However, we were not sure whether that's specific to any one sector or whether you're talking about the pharma or biotech sector. So that needs a bit of clarification. The pharma industry, especially in the MSME sector, needs R&D funding. And although there have been schemes in the past, like the PRIP scheme, which started in 2023, those schemes haven't even started off. Because the guidance has been issued, but they haven't actually took off.
Hmm.
And unless
Exactly.
the government puts the investment into the R&D, it'll be difficult for pharma companies to spend on research in India,
Hmm.
which is a concern for us. So I didn't see that. We were expecting an increase in the weighted tax deduction from
Hmm.
100% to 150% for R&D expenditure.
Hmm.
We didn't see any announcement or mention of that. In fact, I feel it should be almost 200% to further boost R&D spend in pharma. Our
Hmm.
Indian pharma companies spend on average 6 to 8% of their revenue towards R&D, whereas our peers abroad spend as much as 18 to 20%. So we need that kind of incentive and motive to keep spending on R&D. We were expecting some GST lowering announcements also on certain
Yes,
essential
yes.
healthcare products.
Hmm.
I didn't see that. We were expecting probably some zero-rated GST on healthcare services, or maybe rationalizing it to a 5% slab. We were expecting announcements on the PLI scheme, maybe expanding it to contract research and manufacturing services. And the current scheme has been working well, but there have been challenges in that also. So
Hmm.
we're expecting some kind of the announcement on that, which didn't happen yet. We haven't heard anything about that.
Hmm.
And generally, I feel that public healthcare the expenditure right now it's currently around, I think, 1.84% of GDP, aiming to go towards 3% by 2030. And there was no proper indication in terms of how that can be done and how the bridge between the rural and urban settings of healthcare can be, can be reduced,
Hmm.
so that critical care goes to the underserved regions in India. So overall, pharma and biotech didn't see too many announcements, was a bit disappointing from that front. But obviously, there were plus sides of healthcare announcements made also, what I earlier mentioned.
If I'll talk about the majority things that you were not satisfied by this budget as much you wanted to be. You wanted to be satisfied by the budget if there was some announcement happened for pharma and the PLI, as you told me before now. But health, if I'll talk about the health sector, I think the finance minister were more focused on cancer hospitals for making them the daycare hospitals. They were more focusing on that was the highlight of health sector in my opinion. 36 cancer medicines were also was the rates were delayed, I guess. And
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yes, and the gig workers, if I'll talk about. 1 crore gig workers, she announced that 1 crore gig workers, if I'm not wrong, will get the health facility with their work. As I talk, we are working, like I am working in an industry in which I get the health coverage as much I'm working. But if we talk about gig workers, they are not getting that health facility because they are not working particularly a 9 to 5 job, or they're having some like stable job. They are working
Yeah.
today, may not working tomorrow, maybe working 2 shifts day in a day, or not working for 4 or 5 days whole. So what's your call in it? Is it a good move by the finance minister for them, for the gig workers who are working? Because everyone needs health. Health is something which starts when you're born. So what's your call in
Yeah,
it?
absolutely. I think the mobilization of health services across India is
Yeah.
an important aspect, and to improve access to healthcare is obviously one of the first
Mm.
measures that have to be taken. So, from that angle, I think it's a great decision
Mm.
to improve the access, not just for critical services and serious life-threatening conditions, but also general access to these workers, for in terms of right from the length and breadth of the country.
Yes.
So healthcare access definitely has been looked, and we are quite encouraged by this, no doubt. Also, the affordability of those cancer drugs could also decrease because of the duty exemption, which I think is the
Yes.
need of the hour. So
Mm-hmm.
those are definitely the positives. I was talking more about the self-reliance, the in the R&D in our sector, which needs a kick and a boost. Which
Yes, exactly.
post the pandemic, we have realized that we can't just be reliant in manufacturing and API production. We have to be self-reliant in research, so that for future vaccine developments and development of treatments for possibly future pandemics, we need to not rely on the West. So there, I think we need a bit of a greater boost.
Hmm. I guess, and with that also, on the other hand, the health is something which is very important, obviously, the lifeline. And the way, I guess, the finance minister was more focused on many sectors, but as we know, we are never satisfied with all the decisions she takes. Sir, it was about budget. So, apart from health, what do you think other sectors, whatever other sectors got, were they okay for that or not? What was your call on it?
So apart from health, I mean, I think the biggest positive has been, the
I'm
income.
not talking, I want to just interrupt, not as an interviewer or you're giving me an interview, as a citizen of Indian citizen, just I'm asking as a person who is sitting and watching the budget in as a Aam Aadmi. So would you think the government has started this campaign of their 2047, the Viksit Bharat, the Developing India 2047. So you do think the steps they are taking, the mini steps they are taking, like they've taken so many steps ahead to become a developed country. So you do think, is it working? Are we going in a right way? As a Indian citizen, I'm asking. Not
Absolutely.
yes. Mhm.
I think the relief of income tax to the middle class, where up to 12 lakhs, no income tax is payable. I
Mhm.
think that is one of the biggest changes in the income tax slab system that has happened in more than a decade, and I think that will go a long way. The additional savings that will be generated by the common person will be able to be then spent on on household services, on goods, on further investing
Mhm.
in the country. So I think that is a win-win. And I was just reading somewhere that that will generate an additional, good chunk of GDP will come out of that.
Hmm.
That there'll be a boost to the GDP because of this measure. So that I think is the biggest takeaway
Yes.
from the budget. And it's a step in the right direction. I think to meet the government's vision of 2047, I think something like this was needed. I think a lot of people will be happy with this. Also, I think a lot of industries also have benefited in addition to what I just said. So I think it's a win. It'll be a win-win situation for us here in India. And also, I think there has been an emphasis to grow the consumption in the market, in the domestic market as well, rather than a purely, very high reliance on, say, on exports.
Mhm.
So to boost the domestic sector, I think also was needed, and I think all the measures announced by the Honorable Home Minister, I think will go towards that way.
And the way the finance minister is boosting and making everyone walk towards made in India products, and the manufacturing sector was getting were ordered to have made in India products, so that employment should always start from our country only. We should not depend on MNCs or the foreign countries, so that they come in India, then we'll start working for them. It's automatically giving us money, but that the what should I say? The hard work is going there. We are only getting the money. It's nothing. It's not making our own countries any development. In my case, we are getting money. We are developing ourselves for working for foreign countries, but I don't think it's initiating or giving any plus point to the country we are in. So, what's your call in it? Do you think that?
I think the Make in India campaign and the agenda, I think, has worked quite well. And I think in this budget also, we could see how that will move
Yes.
forward.
Hmm.
And I think that will definitely increase, will create more jobs in India,
Hmm.
and also boost, the revenues as well in India overall. And I think most countries now around the world, even in the US, they're focusing on Make in the USA. And in India, here we started that Make in India.
Yes.
So I think that is, I think it's a positive thing. And I think with more products being made in India, especially now in the EV segment, with the concession and the relief on lithium batteries, I
Hmm.
think that will boost production of electric vehicles and mobile phones in a bigger way. And I think we should attract a lot of investment from those foreign companies into India
Hmm.
to manufacture those goods, be it for electric vehicles or for any technology that uses lithium batteries.
Hmm.
So I think that's a great thing for India. I think that's a step in the right direction.
Yes, so it was my last question with you, and thank you so much for joining us in this session. Hope the things you said lacked by the finance minister in this budget may get complete or accomplished in coming budget. Thank you so much for joining
Great.
us. Thank you so much for joining
Thank
us.
you very much. Same here.
Thank you so much for watching Paisa Live. If there is any doubt or anything, any query you want to ask, you can comment down below. I will try to answer everyone. Thank you.